So peaceful.
It's beautiful here. There's a spider on this.
Lead us to it.
Okay. It was a morning in August in 2005, and I went for a jog early in the morning. I think it was like 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was just starting to rain. It was a drizzle. I remember stepping out onto my porch and looking at the sky and thinking, oh, should I go? Should I not go? And so I went, and I jogged up past the houses. I remember there's one house that always blew out the scent of laundry. Jogged past that, and I don't remember what was happening with the light. I don't remember starting to run across the road. I don't remember the Ford that hit me and threw me up onto the windshield. And I definitely don't remember hitting the back of my head on the windshield, where I smashed my skull and ricocheted off onto the pavement, where I landed and was still awake. The driver of the car stopped, apparently. I later learned when the police arrived, he was hyperventilating into a paper bag. And yeah, I mean, for me, the world went to black the second I went out into that road, and I only started to really remember things weeks later. Fractured the back of my skull. I had torn all of the tendons in my left knee. I had broken my pelvis in a number of places. So I would later learn that what happened when I smashed the back of my skull against the windshield of this car is that when I hit my head, my brain bounced within my head and slammed up against the front of my head, where the olfactory neurons, which run from the nose to the brain, go through the cribriform plate, which is a bone kind of behind your forehead. And when my brain smashed up against the front of my head, it severed all of these neurons, kind of like a lawnmower over grass. And in one split second, all those connections were gone, and my sense of smell was completely obliterated. Zero. I could smell nothing.
And it's really, the documentary is about our sense of smell.
Yeah.
And
I can imagine.
Yeah.
When you go to a restaurant, the waiters ask you, how does it smell? Or how does it taste? No, it's a wrong question. Because she or he has to ask, how does it smell?
It's true. It's true.
Because when you have cold, or you cannot, or you eat like that, you can taste nothing.
Yeah.
Nearly nothing.
Yeah.
Only bitter and spicy, but nothing special. No?
Yeah.
Più l'annusi, più lo ascolti, più continui, più chiudo gli occhi, più ti entra nel naso, più ti dà una sensazione di qualcosa di piacevole, proprio inebriante, direi.
E perché fa così?
Perché andiamo in un posto segreto che non volevo portarvi, ma voi avete insistito così tanto. Allora vi bendo, non vi faccio vedere la strada perché nessuno deve sapere dove andiamo.
Bene.
Voi avete accettato, chiuda gli occhi.
Siamo pagati.
Perché è un posto che da mio nonno, che c'è quel posto lì che nessuno va, vado solo io, vado mio papà. Quanti sono?
2.
Questa?
L'autre jour, j'étais sur la plage et tout à coup, il y a un crabe qui est sorti de l'eau. Un crabe de roche. qui a décidé de venir prendre l'air un peu sur la plage. Le crabe est parti dans les bois, littéralement, donc j'ai décidé de le suivre. Et après une dizaine de minutes, tout à coup, le crabe s'arrête directement devant un grand chêne, mais un chêne majestueux. Et le crabe commence à creuser dans le sol. Pendant quelques minutes, le crabe creuse et creuse et creuse. Et tout à coup, on voit une motte de terre qui apparaît et il se met à bouger, à faire rouler la motte de terre. La terre s'en va et tout à coup, on a de loin, c'est une truffe. Le crabe prend la truffe en dessous de lui et part complètement dans les bois avec la truffe se cacher. Donc, il marche avec la truffe en dessous de lui et il embrasse littéralement la truffe. Donc, il y a eu un coup de foudre. On a assisté littéralement à une rencontre amoureuse dans les bois entre le crabe et la truffe. Aussi loin que la truffe et le crabe puissent paraître, ils partageaient dans le cœur la même chimie aromatique, le sulfure de diméthyle.
Dès que l'on est enfant, pour écouter la mer, on n'avait pas besoin de mettre un coquillage sur l'oreille. Il suffit de dévaler la rue, et là on la voit danser, chanter, et on la respire. Et l'odeur de la mer, c'est justement l'odeur d'avant tout du vent qui vient là. Il y a toujours du vent dans la mer. En grandissant et en devenant cuisinier, j'ai eu une obsession. Réussir à capter la saveur, le parfum et le goût du vent d'ici. Dans cet endroit que j'aime tellement, j'y suis né, j'espère que j'y mourrai, mais le vent, il m'intéresse peut-être et avant tout parce qu'il vient d'ailleurs, justement. Et alors là, le vent, il vient d'abord de nord-ouest, c'est le vent dominant. Et le vent de nord-ouest, c'est le parfum de ces vagues vierges que personne d'autre n'a vu ni respiré. Et c'est l'odeur de l'Atlantique Nord qui va venir mourir et s'engouffrer comme ça dans la Manche et dans le Cotentin. C'est aussi, et là quand il va venir, il va recroiser un autre vent qui vient plutôt du sud, de l'Atlantique Sud, avec des parfums, allez déjà des parfums de poivre de Guinée, de poivre de cubeb, de poivre long. Mais entre-temps, l'Atlantique Nord aura déjà récupéré quelques parfums de ces herbes de Gaspésie, et puis peut-être plus bas, en descendant sur la vanille du Mexique et les piments de l'Amérique centrale et d'Amérique du Sud. Et c'est ce parfum qui arrive, non ce parfum, oui déjà, ces parfums qui sont entremêlés et qui arrivent sur cette côte bretonne. Et cette côte bretonne, elle a l'odeur des galets froids. Elle a l'odeur de ces goémons et de ces algues. C'est très minéral. Ça peut être même, c'est granitique.
I met a guy who was a genius of perfume in the Gare du Nord while we were waiting for a train. And his name's Luca Turin, and we wound up talking all the way to London, and I wound up writing a book about him. There was a story that Luca Turin actually told me originally, and it's about Guy Robert and about a perfume called Dior Essence, and it's fascinating. The House of Dior started making perfumes, I think, in the late 40s, and the first two were created by one of the greatest olfactory artists of the 20th century, a man named Edmund Rudnitska, and he was absolutely extraordinary. He had done Miss Dior, and he'd done, I believe it was Diorama that he did. And Diorama, I think, is just one of the greatest abstract expressionist works ever created in the medium. And they took Guy to lunch, and they said, we want you, we're talking about doing another perfume, we want you to do the perfume, we think you'd be terrific at it, and of course he's very happy about this. And they said, well, we want it to be an animalic Dior. And so he sort of is thinking about it, and in the meantime, somebody asked him to go up to Britain and to check out a raw material called ambergris. Now, ambergris is a very, very strange raw material. It is essentially whale vomit, like a fur ball, big whale fur ball. And the stuff floats around on the surface of the ocean, and it washes ashore, and these things are worth, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. He goes up to this huge thing of ambergris. And the way that you used to test it, you put your hands on the side and you'd sort of go like this. And so he puts his hands here, and then he rubs together, he smells it, and he says, it's great, it's wonderful. He wants to wash his hands, so they send him into a restroom, and there's a tiny sort of dirty sliver of soap. And he picks up the sliver of soap, and he washes his hands, and he runs for the plane, and he's sitting in his seat, and all of a sudden, there's a smell. He's trying to figure out where the hell it's coming from. he realizes it's his hands. And it was exactly the perfume that he wanted to make. So he's just had on this ambergris, but the thing that had been added to it was the smell of the soap. He had no idea what the soap smelled like. He hadn't smelled it. He gets off the plane, he sprints to a phone. He calls the guy in Britain, and he says, please listen very carefully. This is extremely important. Please take this sliver of soap that I used. You'll find it here. I left it on the basin. I hope it's still there. Put it in an envelope and send it to me. And the guy says, sure, no problem. And before he hangs up, he says, by the way, did you know that that soap was scented with a knockoff of Miss Dior? And so what they got was an animalic Miss Dior. They took the original, this extraordinary perfume that was created by Edmond Rudnitska, this great artist, and Guy Robert. It was Miss Dior and this animalic ambergris. It was extraordinary.
So it's going to be everything except this. So go ahead.
Is it fruit?
Okay, so there's one fruit.
It's a floral?
There's one floral.
A wood?
There's two woods. And you got one more city.
And an herbal?
Right, and an herbal. So now he's got all the cities. Now he's going to go into depth. So what kind of fruit do we have? Want to see my socks? Okay.
So why the color of the shoes?
Why
not, I guess?
Why not? I like color. I like color a lot, as you can see. So I'm always wearing different colors.
That's great.
So this is two different people painting the same fragrance.
That they smell.
That they smelled, yeah. And they didn't see the colors each one was picking, but they had the same fragrance. And then they ended up painting the same colors. And here is another fragrance that they both matched quite well. This one here, they had the same feeling, but this person here maybe missed a little bit of the freshness, but yet you can still see the same feeling. Most people are born with synesthesia, and when you get to a certain age, like 1 or 3 years old, you start losing it, and it could be from peer pressure, it could be from your parents or whatever, but some people lose it. But then there are some people who keep it indefinitely. It's like a cross-wiring in the brain, and like one sense will influence another sense. You have people that will hear music and they'll see colors. Or you'll have people that will see numbers and they'll have certain colors to them, or they'll see letters will have certain colors to them. When you smell, there are some people that actually will see colors when they smell.
Smell is intrinsically related to taste and flavor. I think smell is 90% of flavor. And when we talk about taste, we're often talking about flavor and not taste itself. Taste itself is what you're getting from your taste buds in your mouth. And it's salty, sweet, bitter, sour, and umami, which is like a savory taste. And so with just taste alone, which is what I had for so long, you can taste these basic flavors. I knew if something was supposed to be a dessert or supposed to be savory, but everything else was gone. Smell is what gives you the detail. It's what gives you the nuance. It what gives you the flavor of everything that you taste.
تنك الزعفران الزعفران تيلا دار غدوار
ماشي زون تاع وايا الزعفران وايا
ماشي زون زعفران د تنك الزعفران ودوار تيحلا
ولكن ماشي غون ادري بالضبط صار ورحمة الله واخا كسبت جديك صار يا واخا
درت كان الزعفران يضنا ترتفت نيت زعما درت هاد السوتيمان باش تفت ناض
طافع ان شاء الله
واخا يسخر ربي
I'm Christy, and I went on the beach with my friend, and I found this rock, and I thought, that looks kind of weird, and so I figured I'd bring it home. And then I had read about the ambergris before, and I thought, maybe that could be it. How much does it weigh? I would say 10 pounds. It's about 10 pounds.
So how much could that be worth?
I don't know. I really don't know, but I did see a guy online that had a piece that was probably about the same size, and they said that his was worth about $167,000. But I don't know. Yeah, I might be holding $167,000 in my hand.
In Patrick Susskind's book, Perfume, the character Grenouille says that every great perfume has sort of a fecal element to it, and you know, throughout history, it has been ambergris that has provided that fecal, dungy, very aggressive base note to the best perfumes. Yeah, one of the most compelling stories that I came across, really a story that sort of stays with you, was of a man called Lewis Smith, who back in July 1891 steered his boat towards the wharf in Hobart in Tasmania, and in the back of the boat was an enormous boulder of ambergris that weighed about 180 pounds and measured 6 feet across, and he had it wrapped up in tarpaulin and sacking, and he had found a whale carcass floating in the ocean. It was an 8-ton sperm whale that had been killed 10 days before, and the whaling crew had already stripped the blubber off the carcass and tried it out, boiled it down for oil. And so essentially it was worthless to them, and they had just discarded it. So he hitched it to the back of his boat and he towed it home. He cut a hole in the neck of the whale and sort of put his head inside and managed to work his shoulders into the hole, and then clambered in and climbed through the whale into the stomachs, through the 4 stomach chambers, into the intestines to look for the ambergris. And he found an enormous boulder of it there. That ambergris then made its way to Melbourne in Australia, and then it finally made its way to London, where it was stored in a huge bank vault, and it earned the name the Bank Lot. It was so large that it couldn't be transported to potential buyers. They had to make their way to the vault to see the ambergris.
Hi.
Come in. Right. So let's take it over to the table here.
Okay.
So this is the object. So where did you find it?
On the beach, Sandy Hook.
Sandy Hook. It's very heavy. Okay, so it feels sort of waxy. Has kind of a difficult to describe smell. So one thing that we always have to do when we're testing possible ambergris is something called the hot needle test, which I think you mentioned you've done at home. Okay, so you have to heat up heat a needle up or a paper clip or something like that so it's nice and hot, and just sort of stick it in, see if it melts.
Le truffe d'Alba, c'est le Viagra naturel. Lo mangi tutti i giorni, anche se non abbiamo bisogno, però vivendoci dentro siamo sempre carichi, perché tutta la notte tartufi, di giorno si lavora a casa in campagna, questo e quell'altro, il tartufo dà una forza, un'energia, una vitalità, una virilità. Perché tutto il giorno viaggiando con i tartufi nel taschino, il profumo va su nel naso, è sempre afrodisiaco, di continuo. Capita sovente che non ce la facciamo più, dobbiamo andare a casa o da una tromba amica, perché proprio è più forte. Stasera chiama sempre una frutta. Gli vuoi che roba da sì.
And then one day, there was a smell. And I sniffed in and I smelled the smell, which wasn't a recognizable smell. I didn't know where it was coming from. It kind of smelled like a garden without the flowers. It was earthy. It wasn't bad. It wasn't especially good, but it was there. And I loved it because it was a scent. And it followed me everywhere that I went. I had no idea how to explain its presence. I really thought that maybe because it wasn't coming from anything outside of me, it must be coming from within. And I decided that I could smell my own brain. And that's what it smelled like, just, from the direction of my nose. And I loved the smell of my brain, which was earthy and nice. My family thought I was insane. And I was like, guys, can you smell this, like, earthy brain smell that I'm smelling everywhere? Like, have you ever smelled your brain? Like, what's going on here? I would later learn that phantom smells is something that's very common with people who lose their sense of smell. There's miswiring and misfiring of the olfactory neurons, which had been severed in the accident, and they were inputting a smell that wasn't there. I was lucky because a lot of people have horrific phantom smells, like rotting flesh or, incredibly pungent garlic even, which doesn't sound that bad, but if you're trying to eat a fresh peach and all you can smell is garlic, it really can mess with your head and what you're eating and how you eat it. But for me, this smell was around for a while, not too long. It wasn't too strong, but it was constantly present. It made me feel like, maybe there was hope for more to come back. Right from the moment we're in our mother's belly, our life is guided by smell. From the moment we are sperm, it's our smell that guides us all the way to the ovula. And when we come out of our mother's belly, the first thing we do is we smell for our mother's milk. It's our smell that guides us to the tip of her nipple. The pleasure of smell is intrinsically related to our survival instincts. It's as if pleasure, the pleasure of smelling, was the most powerful way to tell us what's good for us. It's not just pleasure, just for pleasure. It's pleasure as a way to survive. We couldn't survive without our sense of smell telling us what's good for us and what's bad for us.
We started using this solid phase micro extraction needle, which is a polymer here. The way the aroma is projected, it is away from the plant. Remember, the plant is in gravity, like we are standing in gravity, but it's the combination, it's here. All the aroma profile is going from the top. So you want to come from the opposite side to collect it, because as the aroma is coming, the polymer is going to capture it. So what you're going to do is just, even there is nothing, chemically that we put here. It's usually paper, which has no odor, that we use in the labs. And you just put it in. And as you can see, you are coming from the opposite side, and you're going to be collecting the aroma. It's amazing how much plants communicate, but their way of communicating is through the aroma, is how they act, what kind of signals they send. Sometimes they may be sending signals through their aroma profile that we may not be able to smell it because, we may not have that sensitivity that they know, but they know every other plant in here. This is their neighborhood. They're going to protect it. This is a cherry baby. It's beautiful. It's just an array of flowers, tiny little ones. But when you smell it, it's almost a gourmand white vanilla chocolate. Yes, smell it. It's almost you are reconnecting to your childhood. When did you taste your first chocolate, It sort of takes you back there. Or when you were in little and your mom and you guys are cooking vanilla cookies in the kitchen, every child has that experience. It takes you to that.
So my father was a very heavy smoker, and he died young from smoking. The house always smelled like cigarettes, and he was a mathematician, and he would sit in his study, you know, smoking cigarettes, doing his math. And I remember one time, actually when I was at Brown, when I had first come here, and it used to be that you could smoke in your office. And the chair of the department actually was also a heavy smoker. And I came up the stairs, so I was going to go to his office, and his office door was open. And I opened the door to the hallway, and I could smell sort of that combination maybe of cigarette smoke and papers. I don't know exactly, but immediately I started to cry. And it just hit me. Like, I mean, before I had even completely consciously connected all the dots to this was reminding me of my father and, you know, everything else. When you just start crying and you have no idea why, and then you figure it out. That's kind of the quintessential, I think, kind of Proustian memory experience. So the way that it works is that the part of the brain where smell is processed is directly linked to the part of the brain where our emotions are processed. That's the amygdala where emotion is processed, and it's the olfactory bulb where it's the first relay station of where our scent is processed, and then it goes directly to the amygdala. And it all makes up what's called the primary olfactory cortex, and where smell is processed. And the fact that we have this immediate and kind of very primal connection to emotion means that experientially, emotion is really the first sense that we have of the sense of smell. This is an interesting, unfortunate aspect of the tragedy of 9/11. People who were in New York City at the time, what was experienced at the same time of the destruction of the towers and all the fires and everything else was there was a smell that was produced, so the sort of the chemical backwash, as it were, of all the destruction. People in New York City, when they'd smell that odor, you know, would be completely overwhelmed. The intensity of the emotion and the significance and the meaning that that smell brought to them. The impact then of smelling that odor is the same as the emotional impact of being in the situation itself. Literally, the odor is capable of recreating the full emotional sense of where you were whenever that was. And in fact, in post-traumatic stress disorder responses, odors are the worst thing. I mean, people, for instance, could have a visual experience connected to their trauma, like if you were assaulted in a parking lot, let's say, and you would say, well, you know, maybe I should avoid parking lots, and because they're don't want to be brought back to that experience. But the thing with odor, not only is it so directly and impactfully connected to emotion and becomes meaningful in the context of the emotion. So without emotion, odors don't mean anything. And what they mean to you is what you've learned. So if you are, for example, walking down the street one day and the person who assaulted you wore a specific cologne that you hadn't smelt before until that attack, and one day you're just walking down the street and all of a sudden someone passes you with that cologne, you could be blown away. And there's no way you could have protected yourself because it's not like you can avoid walking because you might smell someone. And because smell is invisible, that's another really interesting and potentially also insidious feature of it in this negative sense, because you can't protect yourself. You never know when it could be coming around the corner.
Je suis sorti du cours de sommellerie au printemps 90, puis au printemps 91, je fais un voyage de groupe avec des sommeliers. Je me souviens, un soir, on est chez un producteur, on est en Ermitage, dans la vallée du Rhône. Monsieur Ferraton. C'est un personnage assez âgé. J'étais beaucoup plus jeune à l'époque. Et là, il est sous le coup de l'émotion. Il est minuit. On a mangé, on a bu, on a goûté ses vins. Là, il dit, on arrête tout. Je reviens dans 2 minutes. Il se lève comme d'un coup, il part. Il revient les bras chargés avec des demi-bouteilles. Il met les bouteilles sur la table. Là, il montre l'étiquette. C'est un 1870. En demi-bouteille. Un vin blanc. On est en 91, là. Hein? Donc, plus de 100 ans après. Là, il dit, ce vin-là, c'est un vin de mes ancêtres. Je vais ouvrir les bouteilles vite fait, puis aussitôt que j'ouvre, je verse un peu de vin, puis vous plongez le nez dedans. Là, des mus, là. Il dit, parce qu'il dit, ce vin-là, là, à l'âge qu'il a, il va parler, je vous le jure. Donc, à chaque fois que j'en parle, j'ai la chair de poudre. Puis là, il nous sert, puis je me souviens plus de combienième je suis. Il me sert, je plonge le nez dedans. Bang! Là, les arômes, comme si c'était un jeune vin. Littéralement, ça sent les pêches, les abricots à plein nez, comme un jeune Saint-Péret. Rapidement, ça commence à sentir les fruits exotiques un peu confits. Ah, alors on voit que ça commence à évoluer, mais quand je dis rapidement, là, c'est en 3-4 secondes. Là. Ça sent plus la pêche et l'abricot. Là, rapidement, ça commence à sentir là, un peu la cassonade. Ça commence à sentir le sucre brun. Et puis là, oups, ça commence à caraméliser. Là, on rentre dans la cassonade, mais brûlée. Tout ça, là, ce que je vous dis là, ça a duré à peu près 1 minute et demie, 2 minutes. Après ça, tu vois, ça commence à sentir la cannelle, la muscade. Ah, et là, il y a plein d'images qui me passaient par la tête. Tu sais, c'est comme quand j'étais jeune, j'allais jouer au hockey avec mon frère dehors l'hiver. Il fait moins 30, là, on est sur la patinoire dehors, puis on joue tout l'après-midi. Puis en revenant, on arrête dans un truc Dunkin' Donuts à l'époque. Et on avait mangé une grosse brioche à la cannelle, là, tu sais. Puis moi, j'en rêvais pendant que j'étais à la patinoire. Mais c'est l'odeur. C'est l'odeur, surtout, qui nous attire. Je mets mon nez dans le vin, ça sent la cannelle muscade, ben, je suis projeté au Dunkin' ou directement, dans le temps des fêtes, ma mère qui vient de faire la tourtière, je reviens de l'école ou je reviens de jouer dehors, puis ça sent la cannelle dans la maison, puis la muscade, wow. Donc, ce vin-là me promenait comme ça dans le temps. Moi, je trouvais ça vraiment magique. Le pouvoir des arômes, c'est ça. C'est un pouvoir direct sur nos émotions, sur nos souvenirs, à notre insu.
On travaillait avec un patient et ce patient ne parlait pas. Il avait vraiment des gros soucis, il était en fauteuil roulant, très handicapé, il n'ouvrait que très peu la bouche pour évoquer certains mots mais très faiblement et on lui fait sentir une odeur. Parmi notre boîte à malice, on sent une odeur.
C'était quoi?
Alors c'était l'odeur un peu caramélisée avec un peu de rhum, c'était une odeur assez particulière. On lui fait sentir. On se rend compte qu'il perçoit quelque chose, sauf qu'il ne pouvait pas verbaliser. Et là, il avait 2 petites larmes qui coulent, et il nous dit « Oscar, Oscar ». On se dit « Mais qu'est-ce qu'il nous raconte ? Oscar, Oscar ». Alors on se dit peut-être que c'est le nom de quelqu'un qu'il connaît. On se rend compte qu'il nous parle de Prosper. Alors, Prosper, qui c'est Prosper ? Et en fait, c'était le bonhomme du pain d'épices. Et ça lui évoquait, quand il était petit, sa maman qui lui donnait à chaque sortie de classe, lors du goûter, le petit bonhomme du pain d'épices qui s'appelait Prosper. Et pour lui, cette odeur, c'était le pain d'épices Prosper à la sortie de l'école. Et ce qui a été fabuleux, c'est que pour la première fois, il arrivait à être communicant.
I decided to create a product for your own smelling pleasure, because the smelling memories are the biggest in the world. Since human beings, this was really important for me, and so when I smell a person with something like a perfume, a woman, and I know a woman who wore that perfume before, I am in the same movie. I have the same feelings like I met that other girl before and all that. So for me, the smelling memories are really important, and that was for me the point that I said I really would like to develop a product like Vulva Original, so the intimate scent of a beautiful woman. It took 4 years for me to develop that product. So we made a lot of tests with a lot of test women, and of course with a lot of test men who smelled not really directly on that woman, but who had the possibility to smell their vaginal scent. And we choose that woman all men love best.
كل شويه بخير بخير السلام يا سيدي هاك الله بارك فيك اختي ختنا زين لا حاجه يفولكي ياك عرفتي فولكي شتي هاد ولدي الزراك ولا تيدوي خصو ياك والله واش كيسكر هو دابا 35 درهم صحاس الحساب انا اش كاين لكم دغيا اش كاين غدا مش كيسكر غادي مش كتري تسكر يشاب كيرخص 35 درهم.
Alors, voyons. Ah, il est très fruité celui-ci. Il est vraiment très parfumé, hein. Hibiscus. Fleur d'hibiscus séchée. Cranberry. Cassis.
Bien sûr que le premier nez, c'est un nez de foin coupé. Il y a un nez de paprika. Ça rappelle... Bon, je n'irai pas jouer dans mes souvenirs d'enfance, mais le safran, quelquefois, tout dépend de ses origines, va avoir un côté un peu paprika fumé, pimenton fumé. Le pimenton fumé est une sorte de poivron rouge fumé en Espagne. On sent ça beaucoup au-dessus, là, mais c'est là, puis c'est puissant. Normalement, pour se rendre là, c'est...
C'est complexe, hein. C'est safran, hein. Attendez.
Je suis très content que vous preniez le temps parce que très difficile à décrire.
Il y a les pruneaux confits aussi. C'est fait de façon presque comme les chassenets avec les pruneaux.
اش كاين الجرام 13 كيسين 13 غرام 13 ضرب 1000 يا 2 ضرب 100 ضرب 100 يا 2 ضرب 20 ريال. الله يسخر الله يربح الله يسخر لو جاوب ديك تيسير لا انكم حرام.
ما عليناش
يا الزمان هذا عيون
ما اخطا.
نعم
طريتي 6 رشوط الصباح غدا الفجر 6 رشوط غدا غدا خطا ما نقلب وريتك يومين ارغ كيسرى صافي.
رحم والدين رحم والدين.
I'm sorry, I know the position's a little strange.
It's like talking to Hal. I'm sorry, Hal. We're not going to do that today. One of the fundamental questions is, what does space smell like? And of course, you can't just stick your head out the window and sniff. With no atmosphere out there, that would be foolish and fatal. The only chance that astronauts get to have a sense of what space smells like is when some of us have been out in the vacuum of space doing a spacewalk, or when a new ship comes up and we trap a little bit of the vacuum of space in between that ship and our ship and slowly repressurize it and then open the hatch. For a little while, inside that small volume where the vacuum of space used to be, you get the lingering smell of space. And we all stick our noses in there and sniff it because it's rare. And it smells a little bit like the lingering smell of cordite, or if someone's fired a gun and there's that slight smell that comes later. I think it's like brimstone, like maybe a witch has just been there.
Lorsque j'étais enfant, j'étais persuadé que toutes les étoiles avaient une odeur différente. Mais alors ce qui est fascinant, c'est d'imaginer quelles odeurs elles pourraient avoir. Et en fonction de là où elles se trouvaient, si elles étaient toutes ensemble, si elles étaient totalement isolées. Pourquoi? Par exemple, les isolées, j'ai toujours pensé qu'elles devaient sentir mauvais. D'ailleurs, c'est dans tout le Moyen-Âge, on considère que la personne qui vivait seule, c'était un vilain. Moi, j'aimais être entouré avec du monde. Mais... Par contre, les autres, celles qui sont une espèce de grâce comme ça, et chaque nuit, vous choisissez une particulière chaque nuit, et vous imaginez cette odeur. Et je suis toujours dans la gamberge à savoir quelle odeur pourrait avoir celle que j'ai choisie cette nuit-là.
I once met a biophysicist named Luca Turin. He has a theory that smells are vibrations, that each smell has its own way of vibrating, and that's how we're able to recognize the differences between scents. So if you took, say, a stalk of asparagus, and you capture its electromagnetic spectrum with an infrared scanner, you could slow down these vibration readings until they became sound vibrations. You could hear the sound of an asparagus, the sound of saffron, the sound of a truffle.
And you only need a little tiny amount on the back on your hand, only a little bit, not too much. So just wait a second. And then you smell on it and you have the possibility to, with your imaginations, maybe also with your rememberings, but necessarily, of course, in an erotic stimulation situation. The smelling memories are the most powerful in the brain. You meet a woman, and she's wearing the same perfume like your first girl, what you firstly kissed. Who was your first girl? What was her name? It was my cousin. Cousin, of course, girl, no? Cousin. How did she smell? It was a kind of patchouli scent, yes. And I still have it here.
L'arrangio una volta. Questa è bella, eh? Ivana a fuoco. Allora, guarda un po', canta. Io ho trovato sto bel tartufo oggi.
Sì, ma è una luce da Uga.
Guarda che bella e buona, eh? Non trovarmi difetti perché è bellissima. No, aspetta. Mio caro Canta, metti pure mano al cuore e al portafoglio perché questo è un bellissimo tartufo e me lo devi pagare bene.
Terzante 93. Terzante 93.
92, ogni volta un cosa.
Ti è venuto il cane.
Non la fa con te, tanto sei a pospai. Jarret.
No.
Quindi,
Complimenti.
Chaud des termines, petite arrête.
Ok.
C'est seulement pour les truffes?
Oui, oui.
Et avec température contrôlée?
Oui, oui, à 2 degrés. Mais c'est un travail très dangereux.
Ah oui?
Et, oui. Désolé, mais nous avons besoin de ça.
Ah oui. Ouh là là. Et vous avez des gardes du corps ou
des
bodyguards? Des gens pour vous protéger un peu des fois?
Non, non, je me protéger seulement moi. C'est la mieux chose. C'est la mieux chose. Attends, tu me fais des demandes et moi te répondre? Ah, ok, d'accord.
Oui, parfait.
Je m'appelle Franco Canta et j'ai fait le commerce de la truffe. Dans le coffre, il y a la porte, malheureusement, il y a le porte-pistolet. Qu'est-ce que tu as vu? Parce que c'est devenu un métier très dangereux. Je vais commencer, je suis le premier de mon famille qui fait le commerce de la truffe. Avant de moi, mon père et mon famille ils sont des familles de ramasseurs de truffes, mais pas le commerce. Une petite histoire pour moi, c'est que quand je suis enfant, que je vais à l'école, et j'avais seulement pour manger le matin, la petit déjeuner, ma mère elle me prépare les œufs et la truffe, la fritée, avec le sandwich des œufs et truffes. Mais le problème, c'est que je suis un petit enfant et je vais à l'école, dans l'école qu'il y a les enfants de la ville. Les enfants de la ville, ils arrivent à l'école déjà avec les brioches, le croissant. Alors, je suis, come si dice, vergognato. Je suis vergognato parce que je n'avais pas le croissant, je n'avais pas la brioche. J'avais seulement la truffe, l'œuf. Alors je vais à manger la truffe qu'ils ne voient pas, les autres, mon copain. Alors je vais dans un petit cachette à manger la truffe, mais je n'avais pas compris, je n'avais pas entendu que j'avais l'or dans la bouche. C'est bizarre la chose, c'est incroyable. C'est devenu oui, une fierté, une fierté.
Sa di un gusto strano.
Che cosa ti ricorda?
La pasta.
E poi?
Il mio cane.
Ma è buono o è cattivo?
Buono.
Prendilo, annusalo e dimmi di che cosa sa.
Cacca. Cacca.
C'est beaucoup végétal et beaucoup floral. Alors?
Ça sent presque l'ail des bois au début. Puis là, tranquillement, ça sent le parmigiano reggiano.
Ça évoque un peu les sueurs de cheval, là. Écurie un petit peu, mais léger, hein, mélangé avec la fraîcheur de paille.
Ça sent encore la terre humide, peu. C'est la fermentation, tout ça, là, les micro-organismes qui...
La terre, bon, c'est tout à fait normal, hein.
C'est très fin, hein? C'est une truffe blanche. Pour moi, c'est pas une truffe blanche qui est très puissante, mais très racée, très élégante, très raffinée.
Ça me chatouille le nez. Ça monte jusque-là. Oui.
Yeah, my guess is that it's actually something more from some kind of industrial process.
That's what I was afraid of.
Yeah, some kind of waste product, maybe from some of the refineries around here that's sort of washed around in the ocean for who knows how long, months or maybe even years. It's got some of these, like I say, these little pieces of metal ribbon in it that are probably left over from whatever process it was made from. And I think not ambergris, I'm afraid. Yeah, you said it weighed about 8 to 10 pounds?
Yeah, I think so.
So.
Yeah, I kind of had a 50-50 feeling.
Yeah, it would have been worth a good sum had it been ambergris.
Yeah,
So.
I guess I have to keep looking.
Yeah, I'm afraid I have to be the bearer of disappointing news there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back to the beach.
Yeah.
So what is ambergris?
It is whale poop. It is basically a kind of pathological type of whale poop that's produced by sperm whales, an estimated 1% of them, and it's really a response to intestinal irritation that they get from the squid beaks that they ingest but can't digest. Ambergris has been characterized as whale vomit for a long time.
Not whale poop. Vomit. Right.
But it's hard to really know where that mischaracterization began, but it's persisted for a long time. But there's definitely no evidence that it's vomit. There's no reason to think it is. I think it's just more palatable for people to think of it. It can't even be that much more palatable, really. Vomit over poop is just, it's borderline. But yeah, all the evidence would suggest that it comes out the other end, that it's produced in the hindgut, and once something is produced there, there's really only one route for it to take. I mean, you could give it to a child and say, where did that come from? And they would be able to tell you. It's not vomit. I am the whale poop expert.
À cette distance-là, c'est déjà assez fort. Ah, il est très... C'est la première fois que je sens un procris.
Je le sens d'ici, là. C'est hallucinant. Ça explose du vent, littéralement. Puis là, je suis tout ce qui est de plus sérieux, là. J'ai même pas besoin de plonger.
Alors, au premier abord, pour moi, c'est vrai que c'est un animal, hein. C'est musqué, c'est le muscle. Ça me rappelle un bois précieux que je connais, qu'on pratique beaucoup chez nous, c'est Akilaya, qu'on sert pour faire encens. Ah, ça sent ça.
C'est brun, j'entends une contrebasse, là. Hein? Juste pour vous donner une idée un peu imagée, là, je vois la contrebasse, des notes très lourdes, très puissantes. Et plus on s'approche du verre, plus c'est floral, plus là on rentre dans le tabac blond. On n'est pas loin de la boîte à cigares, des épices orientales.
C'est incroyable qu'on sait que d'où vient. On ne peut pas imaginer que ça peut donner le parfum comme ça. C'est incroyable. Vanille, les parfums de vanille, un très bon vanille. C'est qu'il y a une présence, c'est presque crémeux, presque lait.
Et il y a quelque chose aussi de la promenade en forêt à l'automne, des feuilles mortes, mais dans une journée où c'est pas humide.
Ça me donne des frissons dans la main. C'est magique, j'ai des vibrations, c'est comme j'ai des fourmis sur mes doigts, c'est incroyable.
And how many women were there?
25.
25, okay.
25. All ages, not all ages, but kind of range of ages, and also different countries. And we decided to develop that scent, what all men love best from that special woman. During the developing process, I had sometimes situations where I said, we cannot get it. Because the point is, when you have the scent and you want to preserve it in a small glass vial, you have to add preservatives, what immediately change the smell directly. So you smell on it before and said, this is a nice vaginal scent, and it makes things in my head. Cinema goes around, and when you put those preservatives inside, immediately it smells different. And this was the biggest challenge for us, to hold that scent at the nearest point.
Hello, young lover, whoever you are. I am Pepe Le Pew. Everyone should have a hobby, don't you think? Mine is making love. You are a girl, I am a boy. We have all that in common, darling. May I call you darling? You may call me streetcar because of my desire for... I'd get a kick out of her.
My first love was a guy named Alex, and we started dating when we were in high school and dated for many years up through college. And he had a very particular smell to him, a wonderful smell. It reminded me of butterscotch. It was, you know, a kind of sweet, sweaty man smell. And when I went to college, when we both went to college, we went to different colleges, I brought one of his t-shirts with me, as, you know, a teenage girl is wont to do, and it smelled like him. And I loved that smell. It reminded me of him. It made me feel closer to him. It was something that was very important to me. After I lost my sense of smell, Alex, who I was no longer with, but is still a good friend of mine, came to help me recover. And he was there a lot in Boston when I was recovering from the accident. And I couldn't smell him. He didn't have his smell anymore for me. And that was the most heartbreaking thing, the moment I realized that Alex wasn't Alex to me anymore, because he didn't have that smell that was such an important part of our relationship, an important part of me growing up and learning what love was and, you know, being in my first relationship. So yeah, that was heartbreaking for me to realize that was gone.
It's definitely the case that the sense of smell is very intertwined with our sexual desire and our sexual motivations, and it is especially so for women. In fact, research that we've done in my laboratory has shown that above any of the other senses, so how you look, the sound of your voice, the feel of your skin, how you smell for a woman is the most important feature for determining whether she's going to be turned on by you or turned off by you. And it's even more important than all social features about you, like how much money you have, how many friends you have, what kind of job you have, except for how nice you are. So you have to be a nice guy first, and then the only thing that matters is how you smell. And from a disgust perspective, it's also the case that if you are revolted by somebody's odor, even if they look great, their resume is fantastic, you're gonna say there's no way. There's sort of like the ball stops here, because if a woman, and maybe for a man, but all the women that I know, and also in this research that we did, if the smell is bad, there's no going forward.
Alors, moi, j'ai vécu quelque chose de catastrophique. J'ai rencontré un homme une fois qui rentrait complètement dans ce que je vous ai dit. Propre sur lui, bien, impeccable. Je me rappelle qu'on me disait, là, tu as fait une jolie rencontre, bravo, fabuleux. Sauf que, dès que je le voyais, je lui demandais de prendre une douche. Je me dis quand même, il y a un truc, ma pauvre fille. Et tout le monde autour de moi me dit, mais Patty, si tu lui demandes ça, c'est que olfactivement, il y a un truc qui va pas. Je dis, ah bon, vous croyez? Bah oui. Je dis, oui, j'aime pas sa sœur. Bon. Puis après, je réfléchissais. Oui, mais j'aime pas non plus son haleine. Bon, j'aime pas... Et il m'a fallu du temps pour oser lui dire, je suis désolée, on n'est pas compatible sur le plan olfactif.
In my eyes, when I decide to have sex with my girlfriend, and she just came out of the shower, and her complete body, inside and outside, smells like a perfume, like the soap. I cannot smell her. I really would like to decide to smell on her before she's going into the shower. I mean, not after a marathon run, but after a usual day, I really would like to smell her body. Her. It is her scent. It's not a synthetic scent. And this, for me, is really important. It's human. I mean, that's why there is a woman and a man, because their attraction of the smell is really necessary. And now, I mean, of course, we are all human, but now we come to the point of the animals. Just have a look to the dogs. Just think about a dog who is a police dog who's taken to find dead people, and the dog can smell the dead person 10 meters down. Really? Really. So, you can imagine the nose must be really sensitive, right? Really sensitive. So, the same dog after that, after his work, find his nice dog girlfriend. And she has not taken a shower or a soap or something like that in their intimate area. So, but the same dog with a sensitive nose goes immediately really close to the area what surely has a real strong scent. But he loves it. And he, just when you see his next dog, is not only like, no, he cannot stop.
He goes crazy.
Yeah, he goes crazy.
For thousands of years, saffron was such a precious thing that Berbers would keep it hidden away in secret caves where it couldn't be found. It can take up to 600,000 stigma to make a single kilo of saffron, and each of those stigmas has to be picked by hand. It's all in the name of a scent, the scent of saffron. People say that saffron's perfume has magical powers, and that it has the power to make people fall in love.
كلشي الرويح نتاري انت دا الزعفران كساو ورقازوات انت مغار او انت مغارت انت دا الزعفران
اللي قال لي اختلاف بين ورقاز وين تمغارت مسكتيات وين ورقاز
ورقاز انت دا ميكن تيسنت داكل دوك الشوط
ما ديسنت خلطت
الزعفران ضروري الزعفران وري الزعفران وري لي
ما سقيت سكرت
السكر الريحه الريحه باش تيقرقاز تمغرد تتكتو صافي تيتشاري
اما الريحه تمغرد ما شتي تيات
تيا وانا نيت نقدر نرقاز دميت الزعفران تكرر حسوا كثير قدام.
Se tu fossi un mago che deve fare un profumo per far innamorare una bambina, una ragazza di te, cosa ci metteresti dentro?
Di rosa.
E basta?
Sì. Camomilla, vaniglia, cioccolato. Di rosa, di qualcosa.
Bah déjà, il faudra un ingrédient qui accroche, en quelque sorte. En fait, il faudrait que soit il fasse un pour l'homme et un pour la femme, puisque les hommes et les femmes, pour moi, ils n'ont pas les mêmes... Il n'y a pas les mêmes trucs qui les approchent de quelque chose. Donc, imaginons qu'il y a un garçon et une fille qui sont à côté. Et le garçon met un parfum à la fraise et la fille qui est à côté aime beaucoup la fraise et qu'il est très fort le parfum. Si la fille, elle va être un peu attirée en quelque sorte, puisqu'elle va se dire j'aime ça. Ça donne une impulsion au cerveau qui te dit il faut que j'aille voir, puisque voilà.
Et tu crois que le parfumeur mettrait quoi par exemple?
Bah, je sais pas, ça dépend. Ça dépend des goûts. Par exemple, faudrait pas mettre quelque chose qui sent pas bon.
Comme quoi?
Je sais pas.
C'est quoi l'ingrédient qu'il faut absolument pas mettre?
Il y en a l'urine, ça sent pas très bon.
Donc il faut pas mettre d'urine.
Ni de caca. C'est vraiment pas...
Donc, dans la mesure où il n'y a pas d'urine et il n'y a pas de caca, déjà c'est bien. C'est vraiment départ.
Ensuite, faudrait pas mettre un truc qui sent, par exemple, pas d'ail, puisque l'ail, quand ça sent pas très très bon, ou de l'oignon d'ailleurs.
Et la fille, qu'est-ce qu'elle devrait se mettre pour accrocher les garçons?
Bah je sais pas. Par exemple...
Mais c'est sûr qu'il faut pas les 3 ingrédients de base qu'il faut éviter, c'est encore la même chose. C'est quoi?
L'urine, le caca, l'oignon et l'ail.
C'est bon. Tu as raison, c'est pour ça que j'ai ri.
Moi, mon premier amour, et c'est véridique, le premier cadeau qu'il m'a offert, c'était en rentrant d'un voyage à Berlin. Il a acheté ce qu'il pouvait à l'aéroport. Tenez-vous bien, il m'a offert un déodorant. Donc je l'ai pas bien pris. Donc c'était pas son odeur, mais c'est l'odeur qui voulait que
C'était votre premier amour?
C'était mon premier amour.
Ah, c'est dur, ça.
C'est dur. C'était mon ex-mari.
quand même, t'étais mariée. Un truc comme ça, tu fuis.
Mais le mariage, c'était avant le déodorant ou après?
Non, après. Quelques années plus tard. J'ai eu le temps de digérer les choses quand même.
Les signes étaient là.
Les signes étaient là. C'est ça.
Marilyn Monroe, elle a dit un truc extra. Elle a dit, moi la nuit, je dors nue, mais je mets quelques gouttes de parfum, le Chanel numéro 5. Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé? Tous les mecs qui étaient là, Marilyn Monroe, ont acheté du Chanel numéro 5 à leur femme. Et alors, quand Paulette rentrait dans le lit, il fermait la lumière, il disait, oh, j'ai Marilyn Monroe dans le lit, c'est super.
Chanel No. 5 is one of the greatest works of modernism, period. It's not just a great work of modernism in scent, which it is. It's probably arguably the greatest work of modernism in scent, but it is also one of the greatest works of modernism, including paints and music and literature. It's absolutely extraordinary. It follows modernist principles. It completely breaks down the old part, sheds the old tropes, which is what modernism was about, conserves traditionalism, and yet sees it again. Diorama, one of the greatest works of abstract expressionism ever created. L'Interdit, abstract expressionism. Drakkar Noir, extraordinary industrialism. Extraordinary.
If you had to give a personality to Chanel No. 5, what would it be? Could you give it a name of a personality or an actor?
No,
or...
I really don't want to do that.
Oh, okay.
I just think that...
Not interesting.
Yeah, I think that cheapens it. You wouldn't... I mean, I don't think you would say... I mean, Mozart's Sonata in D major exists as that sonata. Paintings by Kandinsky exist as Kandinsky's. Rem Koolhaas's buildings. We look at the thing and we're interested in the components, we're interested in the raw material, how did he do this? But ultimately, that sort of analysis, that's in the service of the work of art. And it's wonderful to be able to watch this medium emerge. It was born around the same time as photography. And photography has been established as a major artistic medium over the past 40, 50 years. And it was a real fight. There were people arguing for it, people arguing against it. Is it an art, is it not? And now, of course, it's completely accepted. We are just now at the beginning of this process with scent, where we are establishing scent as a major artistic medium.
C'est très beau, hein? C'est vraiment très élégant, très fin. Je sais pas ce que c'est, mais c'est très floral et c'est ça. Pour moi, c'est floral et boisé. Il y a un peu de mélange de violette, lilas. En même temps, ça n'a pas l'air d'avoir une base d'alcool comme un parfum. Ou peut-être parce que là, il y a eu juste une goutte dans le fond du verre parce qu'on voit bien qu'il n'y a rien, là. C'est translucide. C'est plus floral qu'autre chose sur un fond boisé. Moi, c'est ce que je sens.
Alors, je te révèle le produit. C'est un fabricant allemand qui fait beaucoup de recherches pour faire ça. Et c'est une vraie fragrance.
Le nom, en tout cas,
comment ça s'appelle?
Est très... vulva. Vulva. Hein?
Vulva original.
Oui, originel. Oui. J'allais dire, pas une grossièreté, mais une réalité. Je suis marié avec une Italienne, donc ça sent pas l'italienne. Mais je n'ai pas que senti l'italienne dans ma vie. Mais c'est quand même assez fort. Ah oui, OK, oui.
Nous, on trouve ça assez loin.
Oui, totalement. Ce que ça sent la femme qui sait parfumer. Ça sent pas la femme naturelle. Moi, la femme naturelle, ça sent pas ça. C'est pas ce que moi j'ai senti.
Je suis d'accord avec toi. Faut que tu te le mettes sur la... Ils disent de te le mettre comme ça. Mets-toi juste un peu parce que c'est...
Quelle sorte de nuit je vais passer? Ah, oui. Là, ça sent. Totalement. Il y a un jour... C'est le jour et la nuit. Mais oui. Pour moi, là, je sens la femme. C'est clair.
C'est quoi?
Un mélange de sueur avec quelque chose de floral, mais on avait juste le floral, là.
C'est à toi.
Ah oui, en plus?
Alors, je suis cuit pour la nuit, là.
Merci, ça. C'est super. Merci, François.
Ce que ça sent, parce qu'on va aller au fond des choses, ça sent pas la vulve. Ça sent plus les seins. Après l'amour. C'est ça, moi, que je sens. C'est ça que ça sent. Donc, la transpiration de l'amour.
C'est plus subtil.
Oui, beaucoup plus subtil.
Bon, tu vas chercher.
Donc je vais
cette
voir si la
patiente.
patiente est prête.
J'ouvre
Donc
un
on
peu la
laisse comme
fenêtre
ça.
parce qu'il fait un peu chaud. Ça, tu lui laisses.
Je laisserai là, voir si elle reconnaît. Je vais pas, c'est vrai qu'après au niveau.
Rouge à lèvres, t'as un rouge à lèvres,
Ouais.
même si c'est pas son odeur
C'est
de
le
rouge à lèvres.
de madame.
Mais pourquoi
D'accord.
vous vous acharnez à utiliser l'arôme artificiel si la vraie odeur est juste à côté?
Parce que si je lui fais sentir l'odeur du rouge à lèvres et elle le voit, on n'est que dans le mental. On n'est plus dans l'émotionnel. Je pense que ça suffit.
Tu sais, on avait dit un intrus dans la trousse de toilette.
D'accord. Ok.
Et qu'elle puisse évoquer
Donc, une mousse à raser. Bah, tu m'étonnes. Si elle se sert de la mousse à raser, on n'est pas bon.
Et je pense que ça
Alors.
peut la faire rire.
Mais on se rase les jambes avec la mousse à raser?
Non, mais enfin.
Non.
Vous voyez une femme élégante se mettre ça sur les jambes. Au Canada, monsieur, mais pas en France. Nous sommes à Paris.
Excusez-moi. On se rase avec quoi, alors?
Avec du laser. Et puis, une femme française n'a jamais de poils, monsieur.
Voilà.
Elle
Vous
est
nous parlez de
élégante.
quelque chose qu'on ne connaît pas.
Super. Bien. Michel, nous sommes là pourquoi? On va faire quoi ensemble?
Qu'est-ce qu'on fait ici, Michel?
Parler et sentir surtout.
Okay. Oh, that's rosemary. Can I open my eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that smells wonderful. This was my first smell that came back, and it was only came back by itself, just one scent. And I smelled it and I rubbed it on my fingers, and I would just smell my fingers for the rest of that night, and I could smell it. Nothing else. It was the only thing that came back in the very beginning. But then slowly, one scent at a time, other things began to return. And why it happened one smell at a time and why it happened with certain smells and not others is still a mystery. Scientists couldn't explain it to me. Doctors couldn't explain it to me. But it was one smell, and usually smells that had relevance to my past and to memories that I had, mainly positive ones that came back in the very beginning. So it was just such a joyful thing to get these memories back with the smells when they returned.
2 centimeter fiber. Tell her Suba needs 2 centimeter fiber. Yeah. Haha, found it, tell her. God's with us. If we kept, if people move us, move here, move here, move here, we get stress. So we really need to set it up so that the flowers express their emotions, and that is through either color or aroma, because we can speak, we can move. Flowers don't do that. They're stationary in one place, but their way of communication is through aroma. Flowers can fall in love, and particularly when they are not in the same neighborhood. You know, we know that we know our neighbors, we're very comfortable with it, but if you bring 2 different flora, 2 different entities from 2 different places, and you bring it together, their aroma profile is going to change. And when we see it, when we measure it, it is the energy released by the 2 flowers to generate this uniqueness, this unique aroma profile. And that is truly falling in love. If they're not falling in love, either one flower is going to subside and not give any aroma, or it's going to compete and give more, so there's going to be a domination within the flowers. And we have seen this, we have measured it analytically, but it's an incredible phenomena that you see, that there is truly a romance between the two flowers that's going to give you unique aroma profile when they both are together, touching, feeling each other. And when you move them apart, that chemistry is gone, that reaction is gone, and they're back to their normal self.
Silenzio.
Allora, ho l'onore questa sera per te Molly. Non mi capirai, sono solo capace a parlare in italiano. Vorrei brindare a te, onorandoti con questo. Visto che tu hai ritrovato l'olfatto, oggi hai annusato il primo tartufo ad alba, allora vorrei brindare a te perché hai ritrovato il tuo olfatto. Questo è per te. Qua. Per me sì, però. Cin, Cin. Amoli.
The point is, I'm also just right now creating a book of the spiritual pilgrim way of Santiago de Compostela. So it's really strange, I know that. You can, yeah, in your mind, you were laughing.
I'm sorry. It's...
No problem, but you were laughing. And it is in your mind that you say, oh my God, this is Santiago and this is vulva, does not fit together. When I went to Santiago de Compostela, I saw a mother and a daughter at night in dinner. And the daughter was blind. She made that way blind. And she was so lucky, and she was so explaining her experiences. It was wonderful. And I said, wow, she is speaking about the way the same like you. But she cannot see the way. But anyway, she's so lucky. And I say, she takes the way in her life, in her mind, in her body, with a sense of smelling, feeling, hearing. But the most or real important point of viewing, she has not. But she's smelling the way. She can smell the flowers and the earth, everything. And this is really, really important in my eyes.
Ce qui nous distingue de l'animal, vous pensez que moi, cuisinier, je vais vous dire, c'est de cuisiner. Avant de cuisiner. Ce qui nous distingue de l'animal, c'est qu'à un moment donné, lorsqu'on perd l'être cher, l'être aimé, une maman, un papa, une épouse, pire, un enfant, l'homme a possède l'audace de croire en l'au-delà. L'homme a l'audace de penser qu'après la vie, il y a quelque chose. Et pour rentrer en relation avec l'au-delà, encore aujourd'hui, dans n'importe quel temple, synagogue, église, temple hindou, bouddhiste, on a besoin du parfum. Le parfum est indispensable pour rentrer en relation avec l'au-delà. Parfuma. Nous, dans la religion chrétienne, c'est même l'encens au dernier moment, lorsque l'âme doit s'élever et que l'être cher va nous quitter. C'est capital pour l'homme, c'est ce qui le distingue, justement. Mais alors le parfum de quoi? Le parfum de quelque chose déjà de mystérieux.
Ça vous emmène où, cette odeur? Dans votre salle de bain? Est-ce que ça vous emmène dehors avec votre mari en train de cueillir le muguet? Il y a une odeur muguet dedans. C'est... Vous êtes où? Dans un produit?
Ça vous fait penser à quoi, Michel? Cette odeur? Vous pensez à quoi en la sentant?
Vous la connaissez? Oui. Bon. Alors, si vous la connaissez, on va ouvrir la boîte à mémoire, Michel. On l'ouvre. On imagine que on est à la recherche de cette odeur. Est-ce que ça vous rappelle un parfum? D'accord. Est-ce que c'était votre parfum? C'était le parfum de qui? Mais ça vous rappelle quelqu'un qui portait un parfum? C'était quelqu'un de votre famille? Une amie? Une collègue?
It smells like the earth, like mushrooms, like deep, dark scent that reminds me of all of the dishes with truffle oil my mom used to have when I was a kid. And the little Italian place near where I grew up in suburban Boston, where it was the specialist of occasions.